Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Alright, now here I am continuing with a review for the Planet of the Apes movies. Now here I am with a review for the final film of the original Planet of the Apes series, which is Battle for the Planet of the Apes. So, really, oh gosh, with this film, gosh, this really does, I think, send the film, the fine the original run of the films out on a pretty sour note, really. I mean, gosh, this just really wasn't a good film at all. I mean, this film really just, I was bored by it. I really, didn't get really any interest in this at all. I just felt that it was a useless story, and I just was like, what kind of story was this even supposed to be? Like, this is told as a flashback story, but, like, why is it told as a flashback story? Why couldn't it have just been told in the same style that the previous films were? I mean, this just really doesn't make sense for it to be told as a flashback story. And really just, I guess I do kind of see what they were doing with this film, because yeah, after how Conquest ended, I guess they were trying to just have it be a continuation story of how the Conquest ended and carry into this film, but really just with this film, it just is really just a really useless story. Really, I mean, it didn't really get my interest at all. It just seemed like it was just a really total filler story that really just, yeah, I just really didn't really understand the story at all, and it just wasn't told well. It was boring. Just, yeah, this film has nothing really. So, yeah, I really don't even know. I mean, yeah, this film, the story for this film was basically just told as, it's a battle going on between apes and humans and stuff, and really, that's, the really, what is going on pretty much through this entire film. Just pretty much just a battle between apes and humans, and, yeah, and it's really not even told real well. So, yeah, I don't even know what to say about this film. I mean, it's a really completely forgettable movie. It really does send the last it really does send the original film series out on a pretty bad note, and just, yeah, it's got nothing to recommend really. So yeah, I really don't really recommend watching this film either, because you're not going to get anything out of this film at all. I mean, this still does focus on Caesar and stuff, and he's like yeah, pretty much he's leading the pack of apes, the group of apes against the humans and stuff, and just, yeah, it's a useless story, really. So I just really don't know what to say about this film. It just is, it's a bore. It's a really big bore. I mean, really, I just really couldn't even get into this film at all. I just really didn't see what the point of making this was, if they weren't even going to do anything interesting with it, and it just really wasn't kind of good story. It was just, yeah, I just keep saying this over and over, because that's all this film really was. It just was a huge bore, and I really just didn't like it at all. So I would give the film probably I don't know, 2 stars out of 4, maybe even less. I mean, yeah, I think it's hard for me to say whether or not this or Conquest was worse, but yeah, both films are really just useless, pointless stories, and just it's really just boring, and just, yeah, there's nothing interesting about either of the last two films really. So it's sad that like they've tried to do something different with the franchise to keep it living, but after how we got things started in the franchise with the original film, and how the two films after that kind of did continue on, and then with the last two, just they are just totally useless stories really, and none of the original characters are even in them. So yeah, it's just a sad thing what happened to this franchise, because I mean, it started off so well, and it looked like they actually could have kept the franchise going and make it still interesting. But after all the original characters were gone, just, yeah, they couldn't do it anymore. So yeah, that's just kind of sad to see that they really tried to do it, but killing off all the original characters pretty much kill off the series altogether. So yeah. Alright, so yeah, let me just talk about the plot for this film. I'm probably just gonna skim through because I really just don't have a lot to say about it. So I'm just gonna like talk about it just like pretty much really quickly. Alright. So yeah, in the year of 2670 AD, like this is like told as a narration story from a lawgiver, the orangutan, and he's just like telling the story of the like a flashback from the 21st century. Yeah, and yeah, it's really just talking about now Caesar, which yeah, the film is like set like years after a global nuclear war destroyed the civilization, and Caesar now has a mate Lisa along with their son Cornelius. So interesting that they named their son Cornelius after Caesar's father. Yeah, and yeah, and now like there's a new society he made, but that Caesar created. That is like a cultivating peace between apes and surviving humans. Yeah, this is pretty much like how it's transitioning to the period that was in the first two films, pretty much. Yeah, and yeah, there's like an opposing gorilla against Caesar, Aldo, and he's like wanting to imprison the humans that are like roaming the ape city freely as they're doing a menial labor, and and like Aldo also has like some diffusing followers, and they ended up like attacking a human teacher for like saying no to apes, and then like Caesar ended up like pondering like if that his own parents could have actually taught him how to make things better, and then yeah, McDonald hold is back in this film also, and he like revealed to Caesar his brother told him and that there's archive footage of Cornelius and Zira within in the underground ruins of New York, which is now radioactive and known as the Forbidden City. And then yeah, Caesar and MacDonald, along with Virgil and orangutan, and traveled to the Forbidden City to find the archive footage. And then like later on, it was revealed that mutated and radiation scarred humans are like living in the city, and they're under the command of Governor Culp, who like was a man that like Caesar had actually captured previously, and Caesar and his the party ended up eventually like seeing the recordings of his parents, and then they learned about the future and what will like eventually end up happening to Earth. But then like Colt and some of his army ended up like trying to kill them, and so then like uh, Caesar, Virgil, and McDonald were just forced to flee from the city, and then after like a fear that mutants could attack the Ape City, Caesar then like ended up reporting his discoveries, and like Caesar ended up like calling a group of humans, which included like McDonald, in the meeting, and then yeah, Aldo then ended up like leading gorillas away, and then Colt's scouts ended up like finding in the Ape City, and then after like feeling that Caesar is planning to actually finish off the people, then like Culp ended up declaring war on the Ape City. After even though like Mendez, his assistant, and was like attempting to have him see reason for the apes, and yeah, although like was like plotting a coup d'état for guerrillas to take control. But then, yeah, Cornelius ended up like overhearing the plot from a nearby tree, and then Aldo ended up like finding Cornelius in a tree and ended up like critically wounding him, and then like hacked the branch that he was hiding on. And then the next day, after like a guerrilla pair ended up being attacked by Culp's men, although then like like took advantage of Caesar's absence to have the humans ended up corralled. Yeah. And yeah, Cornelius eventually ended up like dying from his wounds, and then yeah, Caesar then was just like devastated by that, and and then like he then just had to realize that it wasn't humans that actually did kill Cornelius, and yeah, and with a like Culp's force was like launching their attack, and then Caesar ordered the his defenders to fall back, and then eventually like Caesar was then just lying among like a bunch of other apes, and then he expressed intentions to kill him personally, but then it like was showing that the apes were like feigning their death, and they launched a counterattack that ended up capturing most of the mutants, and then yeah, Colt and the remaining forces were able to escape, but they ended up like and being slaughtered by all those troops after they were out in the open. And then yeah, although then eventually ended up like confronting Caesar about releasing the corralled humans, and then ordered the gorillas to kill them. But then yeah, Caesar then was just shielding the humans, and then Aldo threatened him, Virgil, and then yeah, Virgil then ended up after he found out the truth from McDonald, he then like ended up revealing like all those part in Cornelius's death, and he actually broke their community's most sacred law that ape shall never kill ape. And then yes, Caesar then was just infuriated by that, and then he just ended up pursuing Aldo up a big tree, and then Aldo then eventually ended up just during the confrontation he just ended up falling down to his death. And then yeah, Caesar then after he saw that apes really are not any different from the slave owners, he then agreed to McDonald's request for humans to really be treated equally. He to coexist in a new society, and then yeah, they just ended up like storing their guns back in the armory, and then Caesar and Virgil, well then like were just explaining to the overseer that they will still need them for future conflicts and can only wait for the day when they don't need their weapons anymore. So yeah, I guess like the moral of this sort of like just it was just to show that the apes and the humans can like coexist together in the world. So I guess like this was really just the culmination of this entire series, I guess. I really don't know, but yeah, it just really wasn't told very interestingly, as I said. So yeah, it just really wasn't told very well, and it really just didn't really get my attention to it. So it's really like the movies were just like really culminating to this. Couldn't they have told this in like a better way? Well, I guess like they did when it was like rebooted later on with like more of the Planet of the Apes and stuff. But yeah, for the original run and the original series, I mean, this is how they do it. Just yeah, it really wasn't told very well, and it wasn't interesting at all. Yeah, and yeah, then the movie just ended by like cutting back to Lawgiver, and he like was revealing that those like Caesar had actually died over 600 years earlier, and then it was like revealed that the audience of Lawgiver was just a group of young humans and apes together, and Lawgiver was then just noting their society still waits for a day when their world will not need weapons while they wait with hope, as he said. And then, yeah, the movie then just ended by showing a statue of Caesar, and it showed like there was a tear that was like starting to fall from his eye. So yeah, and then that's how the movie ended. So yeah, this was really how they did it. I mean, this is how like we go from like the original film where it showed like Taylor and his other astronauts like their ship crashed down on the planet and they discover the apes, and it was shown that apes are the dominant species and stuff, and we get like what happens in the next film where that continues, and then in the next film we have like how Zira and Cornelius like ended up traveling back in time to when humans still were the species on Earth, and it shows like like a, they're looked at as pretty much like alien life forms pretty much, which and how they were eventually like accepted into society. And then we all for that stuff to just be like culminated here with like a boring story just for apes and humans to just really be coexist together in the world. I mean, come on. I mean, couldn't this have just been told like in like the three films like that, where like with Cornelius and Zero's baby being born, and then like he ends up being accepted in society after like the death of Cornelius and Zero, and then like just like accepting apes as like humanized life forms on in the world. I mean, did we really need these last two films with just boring stories and stuff? I mean, was this really like what we did we really have to wait 5 films to get this all to culminate? Couldn't they have done this in just 3 films? Because, like I told you before, like the first film, of course, was great. Second film, I did think was decent enough and like was good at like really just pretty much a continuing the story from the first film. And then with the third film, that was like told pretty well with like Zira and Cornelius like traveling back in time and stuff. And the story for that was told pretty well with their baby being born. And I mean, since like the way like Cornelius and Zero were accepted into the world. I mean, after their death, couldn't it just been like with like their baby being born? How after that they would have just been accepted into society and stuff? Well, yeah, with their baby, like him now being like this could have been like the start of like talk, humanized apes in like the modern times. Couldn't they have done it like that and just like have it end right there? Did they really have to make 2 more films with like boring stories to just focus on the sun? I just, yeah, I just really didn't think that this was told very good. I mean, why did they make 2 more films that really were just like bore fest? Really, I just really haven't understood it. But yeah, luckily, like they ended up like redeeming the stories for these 2 films that really were not very good, and they ended up like rebooting them with the like the reboot trilogy that is going on right now with Rise, Dawn, and War of Planet of the Apes. Yeah, and so yeah, I am gonna. So yeah, I will get to those films. Yeah, but after I'll start getting into those after my review for the next film. So yeah, after this, like now that I'm done with the original films, now I can start jumping into like the all the remakes. Yeah, so yeah, after this, next up, I'm gonna be talking about like the Tim Burton remake of the Planet of the Apes, which yeah, everybody like yeah, everyone knows like how that film was received. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about that next, and then after that, then I will get into like the remakes of like the stories for these last 2 films that are like where the story is told like a whole lot better. And so yeah, hopefully yeah, those will actually do these stories justice. So yeah, stay tuned for those coming up next. But yeah, so that does it. But until then, so yeah, that does it for my review of Battle for the Planet of the Apes. So yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this review. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.